I was able to meet Dr. Rose Misati. And from my interaction, I got to learn how she is so much passionate about young people and how the way she articulates her words and actually the way she shares her message is in line with wholeness and well-being for families. And family, one of the key pivotal people in the family are the children. And I reached out to her and she accepted the invite, and it's a privilege and honor to have you today with us, Dr. Rose Misati. I'm so happy and glad, and I want to invite her to come in front. As she comes, I would like us to give her a round of applause as she prepares to speak to us. That's okay.
Good evening. Good evening, and how are you? Yes, I requested to stand here so that I can feel like I'm on top, I'm above. And also, anyway, so that I can see everybody at the back. So I'm very honored and privileged to be speaking to you today. When Elvis called me, I had another engagement, but then I just said anywhere where somebody is mentoring young people, there I am, because I'm very passionate about raising a highly effective generation. We are in a generation whereby we can no longer tell our children, work hard, go to school, get a job, and live a happy life. That is now outdated. It does not apply, it does not work. So I felt so honored. I have done mentorship programs for 13 years now. My son was 8, he's now 21. So that's about 13 years now. And every time I tell parents that you really have no idea what you're doing to your children. Sometimes it may look like it's slow, it may look like it's taking long. Sometimes you wonder, are they really learning? But later you're going to reap the benefits. There's a saying that goes, it takes a village to raise a child. We were never meant to raise children alone. The children who have been found, or individuals who have been found to do very well in all spheres in life, are whereby you have children growing up in a group of many adults, in a community rather. You have children, you have a community of adults. Research was done among the Maasais in Tanzania. They were wondering why a lot of individuals were growing up to be very mentally strong and resilient, and they went to find out, and the incidence of mental illness was low at the time. They went to find out what is it that this Maasai in Tanzania are doing different. And they found that in the manyatas where the women are, the women and children, you will find it's a group of women from the same husband or even different husbands, but then you find a group of women in this community and the children are there. And when the children were growing from an early age, they will breastfeed anybody. The children would breastfeed any mother. You know, when they are hungry, maybe one of the mothers has gone to fetch water, they have gone to whatever the farm or whatever that is, the children would go, the mother who is closest is the one they will breastfeed. Yes, they would breastfeed anybody. So the children would grow older, they don't know who exactly the mother is. They would breastfeed anybody. So no child ever felt the absence, lonely, that the mother is not there, because they grew up that way. And you know, if you understand a bit about human biology, what happens when women live together, their cycles become synced. So they will all be ovulating at the same time, and they will all conceive at the same time. If, you know, they were sexually active, they were married, then they will get children around the same time. That's why you find even in polygamous families, you will see the wives have children the same age, and maybe they're even called the same name. So that's what would happen. So these children would breastfeed anybody. So they grew up in that way, and later is when they would come to understand who actually is my mother. And these children were found to be mentally strong and resilient. Now individuals, of course, having grown up. I'm not saying that you breastfeed anybody's child. I think you can, if you had that opportunity. because I think even here in Kenya we had, or we still have a breast bank in Pumwani Maternity Hospital where people would donate breast milk and the children would breastfeed. So, but I just want to say that when children grow up in a community of like-minded individuals, these children grow up to be mentally strong as individuals. Another study was done by Harvard University, and they realized that the quality of an individual's life post-retirement is not determined by the blood pressure, not by the blood sugar, the weight, or the cholesterol, but is determined by the quality of connections, the quality of relationships that they have. And for those of you who are older, you know that it's very hard to have a quality friendship, a quality connection later on in life. It's very hard to make a friendship that is genuine when you're already an adult, because many times, sometimes you wonder whether people are coming towards you because of something. But when children become friends at this point, like now, when they're in this program, they end up forming quality connections. And these are the connections that determine the quality of life. Again, we all might know that opportunities that people get in life, be it job, be it business, they are not advertised, isn't it? These opportunities are handed through networks. Somebody who knows somebody communicates and you get to hear. Those are the life-changing opportunities that people get in life, in service and in many other things. So what you have done to your children, you have handed them a platform where they can have connections. And sometimes you may just be doubting and wondering, is it making a difference? It's making a big difference. Speaking as somebody who has done this for about 13 years, and many times not in a structured way, because I didn't know what I was doing, but now over time in a structured way, I can tell you it has made a big difference. So for me, having started this, I started it because of the challenges I was having in parenting my sons. They were born a year apart and they both had health complications. There was a lot of illness in the family and I was really struggling. Those were my first children. I didn't know what I should be doing. Then I started mentorship programs. I said, I just need, there's somebody else struggling. It can't be me alone. And I can also get other people so that we can tap into their giftings. And I continue to do it. And now my children are grown and I have seen the immense benefits. For example, one of my sons, my firstborn is in university. Two are actually, but the firstborn is. I asked him whether I can share this story. He told me I can, but I will not share, so much of the details, but I will share just for us to learn. So this child was born, I've shared the story elsewhere, I think he also has shared. This child was born with a birth complication. The birth complication was that I was in labor for very long. So by the time he was born, he had brain damage because there was a cord around the neck and he didn't cry. You know, when a child cries at birth, they take in oxygen, so he didn't. So he was put on oxygen for some time. By the time he's being discharged, I asked the doctor, what is the worst that I can expect with this child? He said, this child is most likely a cerebral palsy child. I couldn't imagine because this is my firstborn. Then I said, but what is the best? He said the best that can happen with this child, he's going to be epileptic. He actually convulsed when we were in hospital and he was discharged on anticonvulsants. And that was a very dark time for me. So as he was growing older, he had very severe asthma, so breathing again was affected. Then again he had severe tonsillitis and his adenoids grew and that also compromised his breathing. So he would sleep and it's like you actually think that it's a tractor. You think it's a tractor because he was really struggling to breathe. And then I think along the way, because we didn't manage his diet well, he became severely overweight, I think even obese. So there were many other challenges there. So I wondered, because everything that was happening now was pointing to his brain was being impacted negatively. But then we did a few things, and during that time there was no YouTube, there was no online. So whatever information you needed, you read a book. You have to go buy the book or borrow the book. So I was just trying to find out, through reading whatever I could do. So some of the things that we did is that we eliminated screens. He's very tech, he loves screens, but we eliminated screens from home. That was very tough, but we did. And then every day, mostly, I would leave work, then take him and the brother, who came a year later, take them outdoor. to the grass. There was a field. We play, and then food is prepared. As food is being prepared, then we try to eliminate, junk food. And then, of course, I introduced them to books very, very early. And they would read a lot of books. And I know that this is a challenge a lot of us are struggling with. That's why I'm sharing this story. I was a bit reluctant to take him to school, but we did when he was 4 years. From the time he landed at school, he was in the top. Every time they would do something, and he would do very well. So we had to keep going back to the clinic records to actually confirm that. The doctor wrote moderate to severe brain damage. So we had to keep going back because we were like, there was brain damage, we have to keep going back. Well, I didn't take him back to hospital because every time I went, it was discouraging. The doctor would say, hey, okay. It was very discouraging, so I stopped. I'm not saying you stop, but I did at the time. I think there was so much happening. So we stopped. So later, when I went to get the other child, the doctor would look at me like, you already have enough problems. Like, why are you getting another child? I could see. Then he asked me, ule mtoto mwingine, anatembea. Okay, does everybody understand Swahili? Okay. Anatembea. I'm like, anatembea vizuri. That's like a year later. Anatembea. I'm like, yeah, anaongea. Anaongea vizuri. Anakula. Like he's doubting. I'm like, yeah, he is. Anyway, I didn't take him to hospital. So we just continued, whatever. And then the challenge is the medication he was meant to take for convulsions, he refused. And I'm now very empathetic to parents because I would go to hospital, I'm like, he has refused the medication. And the health workers look at you like you are an irresponsible parent. How can a child refuse? But this child could kick and scream and vomit everything. And it was hard. I'm trying to mix it. I'm begging, I'm pleading, I'm threatening. He completely refused. So what did I have to do? Because now he will vomit and food yajana. So I would rather, just leave. So I stopped giving him the meds. In fact, the bottles were there because we were given medication for years, there. We just left it over there. Anyway, he continued. Our primary school went to high school. One of the things that I noted about this boy, now the mentorship program came as a result of that and many things. But one of the things I noticed is that the boy loved reading. He could read. So let me tell you something that happened very interesting. One time, we were attacked by thugs in our home. And we were attacked as we were driving in. So the thugs were armed and they walked with us, me and the dad. So the boy was reading. That is the thing he always did. When he's home, if he was not reading, he was eating, playing a bit, not so much, but reading. So we are entering the house, and these thugs are saying, Lala chini kila mtu. So the boy is reading over there. He lifts his eyes. That was about 7:30 p.m. in the evening. He lifts his eyes. He looked at them. He just continued reading. It was about 13 maybe. So he just continued reading. Everybody else, analala chini. So he continued reading. He's just reading. And then they looked at him. He had a big body. He still does. And one of the thugs told another one, chunga guard this one. So he was guarded by, he had his own guard with a weapon at 13. And the rest of us were guarded by 2 people, the rest of the family. Because he's reading, he did not even flinch. He just looked at them, continued reading. So later when we talked about it, we realized that he was so engrossed in his book that when he's reading, he gets completely engrossed. He doesn't see, like he didn't register. He just saw. We asked, in your mind, what did you think? He said, I thought it's our uncle. One of our uncles was meant to come and visit. He said, I thought you had just come in with uncle when I saw a man. Then I said, you didn't see the weapon? He said, no, I didn't realize there was a weapon. I just saw another man, so I thought it's uncle. But I continued reading my book because I needed to finish. I needed to reach a certain place. That is how consumed he was. So him, as we are speaking now, the books he reads are 2,000 pages, 1,000 pages. If you give him a book 300, 400, he'll just sit down here once, read at once, and just finish. So he continued reading. And definitely, as I was saying, he went through school. Excellent leadership, public speaker, was a preacher at 8 years, public speaker, Finished, went to university. So we are still waiting. We are saying that brain damage, we just want to see like what's going to happen. So he goes to university. And there are some of the skills that he had learned, and some of the skills I want to share with you today that we need to teach our children in the 21st century. And I will share the skills and then complete the story. So some of the skills that we need to teach our children so that they can be ahead of the pack. Number one is storytelling. Storytelling. There are people who have all the information, who are competent, but they don't know how to package it as a story. They don't know how to package it as a story, okay? A story that is going to move people. A story that is going to sell, whether it's a skill or it's a product. They don't know how to put it. So if you give your child the skill of telling stories, telling captivating stories, you have given your child a skill that is going to set them up for success, regardless of what other thing that you have given them. The second skill that you give your child and you set them up for success is the skill of social intelligence, being able to socially connect with people. We get opportunities through people. We achieve through people. Everything that we do is through people. And I know this sometimes sounds very difficult for those who are introverted. But you see, even as an introvert, you can connect with people one-on-one. You may not have crowds like myself, but you can have one-on-one. Because as I said, think about it. Whatever opportunities, anything you have gotten, it's through people most of the time. Maybe not everything, but 90%. So teaching our children the skill of social connection, which is heavily challenged now because we have social media where everybody thinks they have many friends. We have games where now they play online. Do you call it Roblox? What do you call that game that you play online? Roblox. My son is 13 and I hear him shouting and I'm wondering what's happening. He says, I'm playing with my friends. Which friends? He's alone and he's saying, I'm playing with my friends. So, and some of the friends are in other continents. So he will request you, can I stay up late so that my friend can come from school or whatever, or wake up early. So it's a time when now, because of that, that is a big challenge. So you find a lot of young people or even older people struggle with social anxiety. Anytime they see another human being, they panic because they never learn to socially connect with people. It's good to connect online, but physical connection makes a big difference because you release the bonding chemicals. You are able to regulate each other. You are able to connect when you meet face to face compared to online. Yeah, we said online is good sometimes, but then at least an opportunity to socially connect. So if you can give your child the skill of connecting with others, even the meeting like this, to learn a skill, you have given them a benefit. You've set them ahead of the pack. The third skill that I want to share is the skill of emotional regulation, that they can do something and discipline themselves to do it to the very end. When we watch our children here debating or even giving a speech, they didn't wake up and suddenly they can open their mouth and the speech comes out. No, it has taken persistent progress. They have made progress, they have made mistakes, they have tried to memorize. My son is an actor, and I always see when he's trying to memorize his script, he will always say, Mommy, can you come here? I memorize, and he will try to memorize the script. And I tell him, as you're doing this, you are regenerating your brain. There's something that you're doing to yourself. You're persistent, you don't give up. And again, this is a critical skill because we are in a generation whereby at the click of a button, you can swipe delete. You can delete, you can edit, isn't it? I think it's a big curse, in this generation because sometimes even young ones grow up thinking that even in life, you can just click and you go back. You undo. They think they can undo. And yet there are some choices when you make in life, your life changes forever. Isn't it? You cannot go back. You can't. The life has changed. And they look and they're wondering, is that it? How is that? We can't click delete or go back or whatever, undo. Yeah? So it is important that they can learn that whatever you're trying to do, be persistent. And when you have started doing something, finish. There is something about beginning something and finish. I know they started this program earlier on in the year. I don't know, I didn't ask you, Elvis. I don't know what is the dropout rate. Did everybody complete? Not everyone completed. Even my mentorship program that we started in January, we are graduating next month. We have had about 10% dropout. And I was telling parents, if only you can do everything possible, unless it's totally unavoidable, you can do everything possible to ensure that the child completes. What they started, they complete. When somebody does something and they complete, they are communicating, they are telling every single cell of their body that I'm competent. Because a lot of people struggle with self-confidence, they struggle with self-esteem. And we think that if you tell your child, oh, you are great, you're wonderful, we think we can boost self-esteem. No, we can't. That is so artificial. They just know that you are the most beautiful or handsome or whatever person. No, the beautiful ones are yet to be born. I mean, everybody knows that there's always somebody better than them. So that is not going to help them build their confidence long term. But they build confidence when they can start something. You insist, even if they are not going to do it well, just encourage and motivate so that they can do it and see that there is completion. That's why when we have it like this, we have a ceremony. We have a ceremony. A ceremony marks the end of something and the beginning of another. And the memories are etched in the mind that I did something, I completed. Then they get confidence that I can do something else. Every time I see neuroscientists and other specialists in human behavior interviewed, they are asked, what is the number one human skill that you would want to encourage people to have? Just one. They all say emotional regulation. The ability to regulate emotions. That they can feel, somebody can feel upset, they can feel angry, they can feel sad, they can feel like giving up, but they just keep going, regardless of how they feel. They keep going because they know that this is the right thing to do. So if they can learn those skills, aside from whatever other skills that we need to train, and as I said, these programs, sports and other things, they train them to begin and to finish something. If we encourage that they finish, that it's about finishing. Tell them we are in our family, our value is to finish. When we begin to do something, we finish. I always tell my children that in our family, we finish things. Meaning even when you give us a bar of chocolate, as we eat and finish. When we cook food, we eat and finish it. We finish. If you see we have not finished, the food is not good. I told a new domestic worker I got on Thursday, she cooked today, and we ate and finished the ugali today for lunch. And then she was saying, Mommy, is my food good? Because the other one went because we were not able to eat her food. So she was saying, Mommy, is my food good? Is my food good? I said, you don't need to ask. We are finished. You don't. And she said, is that true? I said, it's true. In this house, when you cook something and you see it left, just know it's not good. But when something is good, as we know we eat, we finish. We go to school to study, we finish. We start reading a book, we finish, whether it's good or bad. We will have to finish, then put it aside and look for another one, and then give feedback. We say, that book wasn't interesting, but did you finish? Yes, we finished. We do, we finish. So the ability, regardless of what you feel, you have started something, you finish, is critically important. And of course, these skills I'm talking about, we need to also model those skills as parents, okay? So we model, because character is caught, not taught. It is very important what you do, regardless of what you're saying, because you can say many things, but what are you doing? Are you the one who runs away at the first sign of trouble? You want to jump at the first sign of trouble. So please do not underestimate the power of what you have done to your children. The fact that they are graduating, they are going to get a certificate, we will cut the cake, and we are taking the pictures that they have completed something. If for nothing else, you have reinforced to them the fact that they're competent, and they can do it. So let me go to the other part of the story. So some of these skills, as I'm saying, over time, I didn't have the language for what was happening, but I just knew that, we are figuring it out as we go along. So this child, anyway, in case you're wondering, there is no sign whatsoever that he had brain damage at birth. You wouldn't know. Like if you know and I tell you, you will doubt. Even for us, we have to keep going back to check the clinic records to confirm, that actually this and this is what happened. So completed high school, excellent. went to university. But before going to university, the power of human connection. I'm in a high school group. I just joined at that time, about 3 years ago. In that high school group, one of my former schoolmates shared a link. And she said, he had just finished Form 4, this boy. So this high school friend shared a link. And she said, there is a scholarship being offered for a certain course in IT. And she said it's legit. Personally, I don't believe in free things. I don't click free things. Me, I believe in working hard. That's how I was raised for my things. So I never believe I can get something for free. So then she said, guys, I work for this university outside the country, and this course is legit. My daughter has even done it. So because it's somebody I knew from my high school, I said maybe I can give it a try. So I forwarded to my son, said, you are interested in IT, apply for this course. He also has learned from the best. So he also does not click on free things. So he didn't click. So we wait the last day for submission. I don't know how I got to know about it. We were driving out of town to go for some function in Kirinyaga, I think. So we are driving on Thika Road, and we arrive somewhere. We parked at the petrol station waiting for family members to come from Kisii so that we can go. So as we are there, I'm catching up with him. I'm saying, okay, so you applied for that? He said, no, I didn't apply. I said, why? He said, free things. Then I said, but my former schoolmate shared this, and she said, it is a very good program. Can you apply? That was the deadline. I said, can you apply? Of course, he didn't have the laptop. He just had a phone. Thank God it was those times he could listen to me. Now I don't think he can listen to me. But at that time, he could listen to me. So I told him, son, apply. I want you to apply today, and if you are not taken, then we know that you have tried. So I told you as we finish. So in that petrol station, he sits with his phone, and he applies with his phone. He just applies in whichever way. He sends. I'm like, yeah, so you've clicked send, he sends. Interestingly, he got shortlisted. He was taken for that scholarship. Then when it came, it said every learner needs to put in 60 to 8 hours a week. How many hours are there in a week, by the way? How many hours are there in a week? 24 times 7. How many hours? Anyway, now they needed 80 hours per week for you to do whatever course that was given. It meant that he was going to sleep about 4 hours a day. And it was going to take either 9 months or 1 year, I don't remember. And in between, he was meant to join university. So I just told him, you know what? As we start, then we figure it as we go along. And then he said, but 80 hours a week? I said, Cheza kama wewe. I have not raised a weak person. So can you try? I remember we used to go to bed, leave him on the laptop. Wake up, find him there. Then along the way, he joined university. And then he said, now he's like 5 months in, or 4, whatever. I told him, you know, son, as we finish, you know, there's no way you're going to leave it halfway. So you finish. So when he's in the bus going to university, he will be in class. Whatever. Anyway, he completed. He completed. So one of the benefits, what he told me, that in that course, like 10% completed. Those who were shortlisted, like 10% of them completed the course. Many of them deferred. And one of the benefits of that course was you are introduced to a place called the room. In that room, the employers are there. And then employers pick you based on your skill set. So you have completed, but do you have the skill set? So as I told you, so one of the skills he had learned is the skill of storytelling. Storytelling. So at some point, he was meant to give a story, write a story that is a convincing story. And the stories that he chose to give is a story of resilience of women, single mothers, who are avocado farmers in Murang'a. He found out who are avocado farmers in Murang'a. And what the women need is market for the avocados. And he came up with a story, and he told the story. And he demonstrated how he can connect the women through ICT, how he can connect the women to China, where they can have a market for the avocados. I'm just shortening the story. There's a lot in between. And that story managed to be recognized by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And there was funding that was given for that project with avocado farmers. I think it's even online. So he would tell me one day, oh, today I'm going to Radisson Blue because I'm going to meet with the stakeholders who are helping in the work. He's in first year at the time. Then after some time, he says, I've taken an off from school because I need to go to the field in Moranga for 1 week. And he's a child just like most of our children. He had never really been out of Nairobi, except when he's going to visit the grandparents in Kisii, when he's driven and brought back. So I said, you're going? He said, yes, I'm going. So there's one of the things he told me. After that project was going on, he got more and more projects. And he told me something. He said, you know, my lecturer has told me that the skill set he has picked in me is not a skill set that he has seen commonly. And he said he can co-opt me in his company and we can do this work because I can deliver. So he continued, he went ahead and he continued to do that work and he continued being connected to more and more. So 2 weeks ago, I was traveling somewhere and then he told me that I just want to let you know that I'm now overwhelmed with the opportunities that I'm getting. And you know, for me, this is critically important because I work a lot with young people who have finished college and they're struggling to get opportunities. So he said, as we are speaking, I have 4 jobs. And this morning, somebody has called me to give me a 5th one, and I'm studying, and I must get my first class, and I must complete. So I won't take this job. Then I said, actually, you can have your friends and give them jobs to do. He said, that's the problem. I have gotten my friends, my classmates, and I've introduced them, and I've told them we can do this, but they are not able to complete. They are given a report, they cannot complete the report. So one time the lecturer forwarded something and told him, you know, we are looking for somebody who is doing his PhD so that he can get into this project and they do the work. So they advertised. And he said, I'm going to apply for this. I said, but you're in 2nd or 1st year. You're applying, they need a PhD. He said, no, I'll just apply, you know, just to even tell myself that I can apply. So he applied. And one of the things that was required is to submit a document. And he submitted a 98-page document demonstrating how he can partner and do the work. So he told me when they were getting the applications, he said he was the only applicant. He was the only applicant for that. There were no people who had applied, and he had submitted the 98-page document, and he was taken. They needed a PhD. Somebody was studying for PhD, and he was taken for this particular assignment that they were doing, you know. So I know that sometimes when I speak to young people, and some of them are very disappointed and very frustrated because they have studied, they have completed, they don't have jobs. But I keep asking, do you have the skill of storytelling? Do you have the skill of human connection, that you can connect with other people and you can actually be trusted? Number 3, do you have the skill of emotional regulation? You can regulate your emotions regardless of what you feel so that you can do it to your very end. So I want to applaud you actually and commend you parents for registering your children to do this mentorship. It is no longer just about I have paid school fees, I have given my child food, and I've given them accommodation. It's about what skill set are you giving them so that your child does not need you. I think the greatest indicator of success for any parent is when your child does not need you. You get to a place that you can actually sleep knowing that my child does not need you, does not need me. I think that is one of the greatest success in parenting. And one of the worst nightmares I have experienced in the work that I do is where you have elderly parents, they are getting into their golden years and they want to enjoy their retirement, and yet they have children under their roof. I think for me, that is one of the greatest curses for any parent, I can call it. That you have a child under your roof, they are depending on you, they have not launched, they want you to feed them, some even have families, and they need you to use your retirement to fund them. I think that is very difficult. Finally, let me share with you one short story as I finish. There's a certain gentleman, well-to-do. He was a judge. He's now a retired judge in this country. He lived in one of the leafy suburbs in Nairobi. And in that area, there were many young people in their 30s and maybe even 40s who are living there, even currently I'm told, they are living there with their parents. So what they do, they sleep during the day. Then when the parent comes home in the evening, the moment the parent has parked the car, the parking, they get out, get into the car and drive into the night with the parent's car. So they go party the whole night. In the morning, they bring the car. The parent goes to work with the car. There are many young people like that in that neighborhood. So this man looked and he said, I have retired. I held senior positions as judge in this country. I have my son or my sons. He had his sons, not one. His sons are there, feeding from his table, sleeping in his house, waiting to use his car. And he felt, no. When I die, what is going to happen? Within no time, this home will be sold, they will drink, and they will be on the street. So he said, I had better watch them go to the street when I'm still alive than, because anyway, they will still go to the street because they don't have the skills. So he said, I want at least the years God will give me past retirement or post-retirement, I just want to see them on the street, at least when I'm alive, so that we see what to do. So on the retirement, true story, on retirement, he told them, sons, I just want to let you know that I'm selling this home. Big, beautiful home worth 100 million and above. Said, sorry, I have to sell this home because I want to move back to the village. It's a village they have never been, they have never lived. They just go to visit, shags, they go to visit. He said, sorry, I'm going back to the village. It wasn't the most comfortable decision, but he had to make it because he realized, makosa yashafanyika. There has been a mistake, but I cannot continue with this mistake of enabling my grown sons. So he said, I'm selling. They didn't believe it. They said, no, you cannot sell it, our home. He said, my home, my home. A buyer is coming. He put it on sale. And he gave them a notice. He said, the house will be under different ownership next month. They moved out and they went to live in the slums in one rooms as they figured out their life. He sold that home, went back to the village. Said, if you are coming, you can come and live with me in the village. Otherwise, if you want to live in Nairobi, you have to figure out. Very painful journey. The sons in their 30s and 40s, they had to begin figuring out life. And being raised in a leafy suburb, now they are figuring out life. And asking money, he said, sorry, I retired. I don't have any money. You just have to figure it out. Eventually, painful process of lifting themselves up, doing manual jobs because they had never really worked at any place. Okay, so we can give our children all the advantages in terms of education, a good neighborhood, food, church community, and school community. We can give them all those advantages. But if we don't give them the most important advantage, which is the advantage of character, they will still lose all those advantages that we have given them. So here we are building character. Let's build a resilient character, because with character, they can get whatever they want in life. That's what they want. Because once they have character, they can get what they want. But if you give them everything that they want and they don't have character, nothing doing. Even if as a parent, you have got all the wealth in this world, then you bequeath it to your children without skills. That wealth will never get to your grandchildren. Did you know that? Even if you have all the wealth, then you give it to your children and they have no skills. That wealth does not get to the grandchildren. Can I demonstrate to you? Haven't you seen in the recent past one of the grandchildren of a former president, one of the most powerful presidents we have had in this country, who used to give people money in a magunia? Sacks. That time there was no mobile money or transferring. People used to go, if they go to State House, they come with money in a gunia. If he meets people on the street, he gives money. If he is passing near your school, you go, you dance for him, you are given money. Like we were given money as students. He left so much money. Each of us was given some amount and we ate good food. That is how much wealth he had. But now the grandchild and the grandchildren and some of his children, they are being taken to court. For what? For child support. Because they are unable, or they don't want to, I think they are unable to take care of the great-grandchildren of this president. And when I saw this in the newspaper, I actually convinced myself that they had missed the picture. Because I looked at that picture, I said, this is a street kid. It cannot be the grandchild of this president. So I thought that the following day they were going to say, sorry, we put a wrong picture. But he kept on being the one, and this boy is crying and crying, and he was saying, my uncle and my stepmother, I think, my uncle and my stepmother have denied me access to my grandfather's wealth. So I said, he's an adult. Should this be the discussion that they have denied him access to the wealth? Because there was an advantage of giving him, whatever advantage so that he can get his. But fundamentally, you can see there's a problem. There's another wealthy person we had in this country, and I know that in his family he has lost his grandchildren and his children because of lack of money for treatment. One of his grandchildren died of cancer. They didn't have money for treatment. One of the daughters I saw in the media crying, saying she cannot get her diabetic and hypertensive medication because the trustees cannot allow them to have access to their parents' father's money. And when I looked at the profile, the daughter had studied in Ivy League universities, like Harvard or whatever, and even the English she was speaking is the English of the North. So you know that she had access to study, but now here, she cannot access her diabetic medication and hypertensive medication. She had all the advantages and many more. There are many stories like that. They had all the advantages, but then they did not have the greatest advantage, which is the advantage of character. So as a parent, it is important, you maybe have had this, to invest for your child, but much more important to invest in your child so that your child does not need you, so that they can thrive, they can soar, they can succeed, wherever they can go. And I believe that all of us want to raise our children to exceed us, isn't it? You want to raise your child to exceed you, And I know you children, do you want to be like your parents, or do you want to be better than them? Do you want to be better, or do you want to be less or like your parents? You want to be better, isn't it? You all want to be better than your parents. And for you to be better than your parents, work very, very hard. Work very, very hard in what you do. When you are given an opportunity, work very, very, very hard, okay? Do your very best, whatever opportunity you are given. And when your parents are telling you no to something, you want something and they are telling you no, this is not possible, listen to your parents, because sometimes you may think they are too old. How many people think their parents are too old? My children think I'm too old to make sense. Sometimes you can look at your parents, you think they are too old, and you just think they don't make sense. Some of them are smiling. You may think so. Imagine even us, we thought our parents were too old. Now, for those of us who have parents, we go back, we say, Mom, Dad, you actually knew what you were talking about. Because there's an African saying that says, what a young man cannot see on top of a tree, an old man can see seated under a tree. So even when your parents, maybe, you think that they are not as educated as you think that they don't know some of these Roblox, I don't know what the other things, they don't know even some of our applications on their phone. Me, I don't even know how to go on TikTok, and yet people have posted my videos on TikTok, but I can't even watch them. So I usually tell my children, okay, somebody has told me they have posted me on TikTok. So they say, Mom, do this, I don't know. So you may think that they don't know these things, but they have wisdom that they are giving you. So listen and do it to the very end. And young ones, children, boys and girls, there's something that I want you to pick from me today. Are you listening to me? Boys and girls, I'm finishing. But I want you to pick something from me today. I want to tell you this. If your parents have not bought for you books to read, we have said you need the power of storytelling. If your parents have not bought for you books to read, go and ask them to buy for you books to read. The children in my mentorship club, they usually read a book a week. We said each of us reads a book a week. Every week you read a book. So some of them, because their parents cannot buy, they are not able to buy books every week, we have told them to be members of the Kenya National Library. So you go to the library, you borrow a book. Becoming a member is free. And borrowing a book is 5 shillings. And you can borrow up to 2 books, 10 bob. The library is just here at Upper Hill. So they borrow books and they read. Some of them, they exchange books. So we tell them to read a book a week. Another thing we tell them to do, they have to talk to 2 strangers a week. Talk to two strangers, safe strangers. You know which strangers I'm talking about? You have a watchman at the gate. You say hi to the watchman. Don't just pass in and pass out. Say, hi, how are you today? There is an auntie next door. Say hi to them. In your school, there's somebody you ordinarily don't speak to. Speak to that person. That is a safe stranger. I'm not saying anybody on the road. In church, there are those people you don't talk to normally. Go and say, hi, how are you doing? That is the second thing that they do. The third thing that the children in my mentorship club do, we have told them that each of them needs to make money. Each of them needs to make money. It doesn't matter how much, but each of them needs to make money. And at first they were telling me, can I really make money? Because I told them that people who have learned to make money before they are the age of 15, later on they will have many income streams because they learned. So they said, I told them the same way you go and Google to find out how to do many things, Google to find out how to make money. When they came back after a month, because we meet once a month, all of them had made money, different amounts. And I asked them, how did you make money? One of them said, I went to the supermarket, I bought a packet of sweets, I sold, and I made money. Another one said, he's 13. I tutored children in my estate. I offered tuition, the parents paid. He had made 7,000 shillings. Another one said, my son said, he's also part of that mentorship. He's 13 years here in Maxwell Adventist Preparatory School. He said that because I refused to allow him to wash my car to make money, he said, can I wash your car, make money? I said, no, I just want you to make money outside of me. So he realized that he's a very good speaker and he can make jokes. So he went to the class and he told his friends, I'm going to make you laugh, and each of you will pay 100 shillings. They paid and he made them laugh. He cracked jokes, good jokes of course. He cracked jokes and they paid him. So he came and he made money. One of them bought cashew nuts and she sold the cashew nuts in the estate. I mean, the point I'm just trying to say is that there are many possibilities and many ideas. So if you read a book a week, you talk to two strangers a week, you find ways of making money. And I know sometimes some parents say, if they make money, they will not study. No, the reason why they don't study is not because they make money. It's because they lack the skill of self-discipline and a delayed gratification. That is why they will not study, not because of money. And when they make money, we teach them to put their money in 5 baskets. 5 baskets, meaning in 5, it can be an envelope. But we tell them the first basket is tithe. Your 10% of whatever you make goes to God. And we tell them the other one, 10% goes to charity. Charity or offering. Charity means there may be somebody who is struggling, someone you need to help, you help them. We tell them the third basket goes to your own self-care. There are things you need. Maybe you want to buy a packet of crisps and you're always asking your parents for money. Buy for yourself with a percentage of that money. The other amount we say, if you are a person who has a family, it goes to upkeep. But for you, you can decide how you want to spend it because your parents are taking care of you. Then we tell them the 5th basket goes to savings. Save. You need to begin to save and invest. And those children between the ages of 10 to 15, they all have bank accounts. And some of them have even invested in money market funds. And as parents decided when the child saves an amount, they match it up. That's what I do for my son. Anytime he has saved 500 and he's giving me to deposit, I save 600. And he has learned that even when he's going on a trip, he's given money for lunch, he spends half. He says, we are going somewhere, we need money for lunch. How much? You give him 500. Maybe he has come for practice here at school. Then he says, LMS, I will eat like for 500. We give him 500. He will spend 250. And he has realized he can spend half and he doesn't die. And he will bring the 250 and he'll say, Mama, this 200, can you match it up and send it to me in the bank? Then I match it up. I add, not matching, but I add 50, add 100, I save it. And so if somebody begins to save that amount as they grow older, that is how they are learning the skill of delayed gratification. That you can go eat ice cream with all the money, but you decide, no, I love to eat ice cream, but I won't. Let me save this money. Then you see it growing, okay? So young ones, I'm just telling you that these are some of the things you can do so that you learn the skill, so that you exceed your parents. You become better. Let me use that word. You become better than your parents. And please, parents, encourage, support, motivate, and inspire your children. A lot of Gen Zs tell me that anytime they are trying to do something like that to take care of themselves, to work, to save, invest, they say the major hindrance are parents. The parents say, no, you are my child. You cannot be selling sweets. You cannot be selling cashew nuts. No. You cannot be doing that. That's what they say the greatest hindrance. So let us support, motivate, encourage, and inspire our children, knowing that times have changed and now they need certain skill sets, as I've said, delayed gratification, that is self-discipline, storytelling, emotional regulation, and human connection. It's the third one that I said. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and may God bless you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Rose Misati, for that. You have spoken to the parents. I know deep inside they have learned some great lessons. You've also spoken to the Gen Zs who are here, me among them. I'm very grateful. And also been able to speak to the children. We are blessed, and we pray that may God keep blessing you more and enabling you to empower more people